It will involve uncovering certain parts of your body as I go along, but I will do my best to maintain modesty as is important for patient care. If at any point you feel any pain when I'm touching or palpating an area, please let me know and I will stop. Okay? The first thing that I'm looking at is I'm looking at the general appearance, what we also call the general survey. How is the patient's hygiene, grooming, self-care, affect, meaning behavior, and posture. Earlier, you and I took a walk to the bathroom, and I noticed your gait was very steady, so I'm confident that that is intact. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you if you're in a comfortable position at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. I am going to elevate the bed up to a comfortable height for myself to eliminate any unnecessary bending. And then I'm also going to grab some clean gloves. I'll begin at your head, and what I'm looking at initially, I'm inspecting just by standing here and looking at the scalp to see if there are any obvious lesions or breaks in the skin. I'm going to palpate or touch and inspect at the same time the hair, moving it away from the ears to look behind the ears to see if there are any breaks in the skin there as well. Could you turn your head to the left, please? Thank you. And I see that when she turns her head that she has some good range of motion in her neck, and she's able to not only turn her head, but she's also able to follow my command, which tells me a lot about her orientation as well. Could you turn your head back to the center, please? Thank you. Could you look toward me? Thank you. And I'm going to look at the other side of her head as well, behind the ear. And if you could turn your head to the center and then put your chin down towards your chest, and then I'm going to inspect the back. Excellent. And if you could put your head up for me, please. Thank you. The next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do a few pieces of what's called the neurologic assessment. And that entails me using a pen light to shine it into your eyes. So when I shine the pen light in your eyes, the best thing you can do is keep your head as still as possible, and I'll give you some instructions on how to follow the pen. The first thing I'm going to do is place my hand on the bridge of your nose and then on your forehead. And the reason that I'm doing that is so I can look at one pupil at a time. And I'm looking at the pupils to see if the pupils are equal in size, if they're round, if they react to my pen light, and then I'll look and see if they accommodate as well. And I'll explain that as I go along. So I'll start with the first side, the left side here. If you could look straight ahead towards me. And I'm going to start out towards the ear or just beyond the ear and briefly bring in the light until I see the pupil react. It's not necessary to have the light shining into the patient's eye for an extended amount of time. Excellent. And I see that her pupil. I'm going to palpate down the neck and feel what's called your carotid arteries. And I'll do that one at a time because if I did it both at the same time, too much compression could make you feel lightheaded. Okay? If you could just keep your neck nice and relaxed, and you can move your head center. Thank you. So I'm palpating down. I'm also noting the skin to make sure that the skin is intact on the neck and see if there are any issues there. I'm just going to move your hair here. So I'm going to start around the outside of the jaw and just lightly go until I feel both sides at once, and then I'll remove one hand. Light pressure is all that's needed here, and that's all that you want to do because you do not want to slow down that pulse. And I'm comparing both sides as well, as we will for the entire physical assessment. We're always comparing one side to the other. Okay, while I'm here at the neck and the upper shoulders, I'm going to look and inspect the skin, and then I'm going to palpate. Do you have any areas of pain?
No.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to unsnap the gown here and look at your shoulder. No areas of pain at all there. And I'll continue on over to the other side, inspecting the shoulders and looking again to see if there are any areas of pain. As I continue on down, I'm going to go a little bit further just towards the center of the chest. Any pain here when I palpate?
No.
Okay. And the next thing that I'd like to do is I would like to listen to your eyes. What I'd like for you to do now is if you could extend your arms, being careful with your sore spot on your wrist. I'm going to have you grip my fingers as hard as you can. Excellent. And then I'd like for you to bend your wrists, and we'll be careful with this side. Bend them as much backwards towards your person or your body as much as you can. And if you could bend at the wrist here, backward towards you, okay. And if you could push me away, okay. More pain when you do that on this side? Okay, so we won't have you do that anymore. What I can see as well is that all of the skin is intact in the upper extremities and in the hands. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to check for capillary refill. We typically use the nail bed and apply a small amount of nail bed pressure to see how fast those capillaries refill once the blood has been occluded for a moment. And a normal time frame would be 3 seconds. And so once you've pressed on the nail bed, you want to watch and count and see how long it takes for that pink to return. Because she has nail polish on, you can use the pad of the finger instead, or you could use the pad of the thumb as well. And pressing with your finger on the pad of the thumb and waiting to see when the pink returns. Once you press, it will turn white as you occlude some of the capillary flow, and then it will become pink once the capillary flow returns. So that concludes our upper extremity assessment. And now, as I put the gown back together, I'm going to explain to the patient that I'd like to lay her down. Ms. Fulton, I'd like to lay you down to continue the rest of the assessment. And that is going to consist of your abdomen or GI system, gastrointestinal system. See that there aren't any bulges or breaks in the skin. Then I'm going to instruct the patient that I'm going to press on the abdomen, and at any point if there's pain, please let me know. And you just start from side to side pressing, and you're pressing to make sure that it's soft, non-tender, that it is not distended. And then you want to know by asking the patient what has been the quality of their nutrition and looking to make sure that we have good capillary refill. There's no redness or break in skin integrity. I'm looking at the top of the feet for the same to see if there's any breaks in skin integrity, if there are any lesions or any sores. The next thing that I'm going to do is start right in between the big toe and the second toe with 3 pads of my fingers and follow that down looking for that dorsalis pedis pulse, which is about midway to the ankle. Should you not be able to feel this upon palpation, you can always get what's called a Doppler machine where you can find it and hear it audibly. But this is an important pulse to be sure that you locate accurately. The last part that I would like to do is to check the capillary refill of the toes. And because of the polish on the toenails, rather than doing the toenail pressure, I'm going to do the tip of the toe skin pressure. And I'm looking for that reblanching or that blood flow back once I press or occlude the capillaries. Ms. Fulton, could you press against my hands like you're pressing on a gas pedal, please? I'm checking not only for range of motion, but for strength in lower extremity. And could you pull your toes toward your nose? Pull as hard as you can against my hands. Excellent. Any problems when doing that movement?
Whisper test. I'm going to tell you a word, and you're going to repeat after me. Okay. November. We're going to do it on the other side and compare. Neurology. Excellent. Is dull. Okay. Okay. And this is sharp. Okay. Do you feel the difference? Yes. Yes. So you're going to tell me where, what you feel. Okay. Okay. Dull. Sharp. Sharp. Dull. Dull. Sharp. Sharp. Dull. Dull. Sharp. Very good. To assess both sides. So we'll compare both sides. We're going to do just one. Now close your eyes, and do you feel 1 or 2 points? 2. You're going to tell me when you feel just 1. Now. All right. As you can see, that the 2 points are almost close to each other, and they are in between the range of 2 to 8 millimeters, which means it's intact. Now we're going to do the forearm. You can keep it this way. Here, do you feel 1 or 2 points? 2. Okay. Do you feel 1 or 2 points? 2. You feel 1 or 2 points? 2. 1 or 2 points? 1. 1. Now, here it's about a measurement of 3 centimeters. I can maybe go a little bit more. Is this 1 or 2 points? 1. 1. So I see that it is within the normal range of between 4 to 7.5 centimeters. So this, I'm going to ask you to open your hand, and I'm going to put a number, and you're going to tell me what the number is. Okay?
Okay.
1. Okay. The other hand.
3.
Excellent. Now we're going to do stereogenesis, is identifying objects. Keep your eyes closed, and you are going to give me your hand. You're going to tell me, what is this object in your hand? Let me know what it is.
A paperclip.
A paperclip. Let me do it on the other hand.
A coin.
A coin. So your sensory component of your exam is intact. Now we're going to do the motor. We're going to do the motor strength. So you can stay this way. I'm just going to ask you to take. I'm going to take 2 fingers, and you're going to squeeze my hand. Now I'm going to push towards me. You're going to resist my strength. Excellent. Now we're going to do the same thing, but you're going to go towards you, and I'm going to resist again. You're going to resist again. So your strength is very good bilaterally. One way is putting your hands together. You can loosen up your thumbs, exactly, and maybe think of something else, or look at me, and I'm just going to make a little knock. And I see that your reflex is about a +2. And here is your watch, so go a bit higher than your watch. And +2. Now I'm going to do your bicep, and try to find your tendon. Flex your head. Lock it on my hand. You can relax onto my arm. Okay? Good. +1.
Bumps, temperature, tenderness, turgor. So I'm just going to palpate her scalp. Vivian, do you feel any tenderness?
No.
No? Perfect. So I don't feel any masses. I don't feel any lumps or bumps. And I don't see any edema. The temperature is warm to touch, which is good. So I have no concerns with her scalp. So now I'm just going to inspect and palpate her hair. So upon inspection, I see that it's brown in color. I don't see any foreign masses. In her hair, it is brown throughout her entire, is appropriate for ethnicity and uniform throughout. So I'm just going to palpate her temperature, and it's warm to touch. Perfect. And then now I'm just going to palpate her face for lumps, bumps, any edema. The turgor is good. She's not dehydrated, which is awesome. And Vivian, is there any tenderness?
No.
No? And is there any tenderness in your head?
No.
No? Perfect. Nose to look for lumps and bumps. I don't see any lesions, which is good. Now I'm going to palpate the sinuses. Vivian, is there any discomfort, pain,
No.
tenderness? No? Just light pressure?
Yeah.
Yeah? Perfect. Right, perfect. So there's no pain, no discomfort. Vivian's outer ear. So I'm going to palpate over here. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
No? And I'm going to palpate the tragus. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
Perfect. So I'm going to palpate the outside. Any pain or tenderness? No. No. And I'm going to palpate the tragus. Any pain or tenderness?
No.
Perfect. So along with symmetry and any physical. Perfect. And the tricuspid valve, thank you very much for lifting, is at the 5th intercostal space, just slightly lateral to the sternum. And then the mitral valve, also at the 5th intercostal space at the midclavicular line. Perfect. So S1 just a note, soft palpate and circular motions throughout each quadrant to assess for rigidity. I'm also going to look at Vivian's face to look for grimness, which I don't see. I'm also going to palpate for tenderness and any masses that I might have missed. I don't see any. There's no rigidity, which is great. I don't see any tension either, and there's no abdominal pain or any abnormalities that I see. There's no tension either. So finally, I'm just going to palpate the bladder. Sorry, Vivian, I'm just going to lift this down a little bit. So I'm just going to palpate the bladder. I don't feel any distension, which is great. All right, perfect. So Vivian, I'm just going to get you to sit up.